Believe it or not, we are in the final stretches of the 2019-2020 season, with each team only having about 20 games remaining. With that being said, we are experiencing drastic changes in the standings, which includes a crazy transaction that is really going to boost the rebuild of course, the Ottawa Senators. And on top of this, we are also seeing many crazy storylines cooking up within the draft rankings. And so far, the 2020 NHL draft is truly living up to the hype, as we're currently seeing some tremendous talent developing, which includes one of the best years in World Junior history in terms of draft eligibles playing within the tournament, which really just says a lot. In fact, if we take a look at this graph, we have the history of top 10 picks who played within the World Juniors during their draft year. And we'll start with 2015, which of course is already becoming known as one of the best drafts we've seen in this modern NHL era. And with that being said, they had 8 out of the top 10 prospects playing within the World Juniors. 2 years later in 2017, there was 4, with Nico Hischier just, catapulting up in the rankings because of his World Junior play. And then in the next 2 draft classes, we also saw 4 players in the 2019 and 2018 season. And in the 2020 draft, if you take in consideration the injury to Anton Lundell, who should have been there would have been 9 players out of the top 10 playing in the World Juniors, which is pretty crazy. So we're seeing better results than the 2015 NHL draft. Now, I'm not saying that this draft is going to be stronger than the 2015 NHL draft. I don't think it will, but there's definitely a large correlation here to when players are able to make the World Juniors. It does have some type of correlation to the strength within that draft, because it's just not common to see 9 players out of the top 10 be in the World Juniors. In this video, we're going to be doing our 2020 late season draft rankings. Make sure to comment down below what your top 5 would look like, or on the very least, comment down below which player you're most excited for. And make sure to hit the subscribe button for some more awesome hockey content, guys. Again, guys, thank you guys so much for all the support. And on a side note, we're going to see a lot of changes within the position of the teams in this video, and they're based on the current standings, so the current bottom 15 teams currently in the NHL. And in this video, I also take a look at game film and just scouting reports to try to draft up some comparables for each prospect. So take that with a very, very fine grain of salt, as obviously this is just reminiscent playing styles, and no means am I saying the potential is going to be the same. With the first overall pick in the 2020 draft, the Detroit Red Wings select Alexis Lafrenière, and this one of course is pretty obvious. Lafrenière will be the number 1 pick. I don't think there's any single debate about that, as he exemplifies all the traits of a cornerstone franchise player. And on top of this, Lafrenière has the production and track record to back it up, as Lafrenière has just been lighting up the QMJHL for the past 3 seasons. He's currently sitting at well over 2 points per game with 89 points in 42 games. He was a 2020 World Juniors MVP, as he helped carry Team Canada to a gold medal, where he registered 2 points per game with 10 points in 5 games as a draft eligible, which is just not very common. Lafrenière is just a complete bulldog winger who's dynamic in every sense. The only kind of con to his game is that he's not a dynamic skater like others in this class, but he's still definitely an above average great skater. And in terms of a comparison, it's actually a bit tough, as Lafrenière definitely exemplifies many traits, and a lot of scouts, a lot of people like to make the Rimouski connection to obviously Sidney Crosby, and he definitely does have some Crosby traits like puck possession. But after thinking about it for a while and really just analyzing his game, he's really reminiscent to another Penguin in Evgeny Malkin. I guess if Evgeny Malkin was a winger. A powerful goal-scoring winger, just elite vision and hockey IQ who can just do it all. And if the Red Wings win this draft lottery, Lafrenière will be a foundational player and kind of just the dream winger for, of course, Dylan Larkin. Next, we have the LA Kings, and I had them selecting Quinton Byfield. And the best way to describe Byfield is that he's just a freak of nature. His current measurements online are a bit off, as I've heard many scouts say he's over 6'5", 225 pounds, so he's just a monster, and on top of this, he's a fantastic skater and an elite goal scorer. And given the way the current NHL game is trending, Byfield's just mix of size, physicality, and skill has just been foreshadowing the development of a potential superstar at the NHL level. And Byfield this season has been playing exceptionally well with the Sudbury Wolves, where he's actually put up 32 goals, 74 points, and 40 games. So he's almost around that goal per game mix, combined with that size, strength. He's just a complete package. And Byfield also won the gold medal alongside Lafrenière for Team Canada during the World Juniors. In terms of a comparison, I have Blake Wheeler, a big, powerful player who can skate like the wind, but who can also play that complete game and rack up points. At number 3, the Ottawa Senators draft their franchise centerman and Tim Stützle. Last mock draft, I actually received some flack for putting Stützle within the top 3, but again, I'm sticking to my word, because Stützle this season has truly just elevated his game and cemented himself as a top player within this draft class. And he has a pretty interesting story, as Stützle is actually considering coming to the United States to play college hockey to gain more exposure rather than playing in the DEL. However, Stützle would risk that exposure to stay in Germany, and this decision has really just paid off well. As Stützle, as a 17-year-old, has been a monster in the DEL, putting up 29 points and 32 games, so just under a point per game as a 17-year-old, which is just crazy. He also had a great World Junior Tournament where he put up 5 points in 5 games, and Stützle has the upside of being that offensive superstar. And in terms of a comparable, we have another German in Leon Drysdale, offensively gifted center winger who can really just drive that power play. At number 4 with the New Jersey Devils, and I had them selecting Jérémie Drysdale. Drysdale has made a clear separation being the top-ranked defenseman within this draft class. He's a smooth-skating, offensive-minded defenseman who can lead that transition play and is the ideal power play quarterback in today's game. And the more I look into Drysdale's game, his scouting reports, his game film, and I guess just overall progression, I see a lot of similarities to Cale Makar. A lead skating right-handed defenseman who can lead that offensive charge to blue line, but is also defensively responsible. And both are gifted with elite hockey IQ and vision. And this is with the Erie Otters. Drysdale has been playing exceptionally well with 39 points in 38 games, and he had a big role on Team Canada's blue line for their gold finish. And Drysdale is showing all the traits of being a high-end defenseman, and the Devils are kind of piecing together a pretty respectable defensive pipeline, but adding another player like Drysdale would really help solidify that future. At number 5, we have the San Jose Sharks. Oh wait, what's that? They traded their pick? At number 5, we have the Ottawa Senators, because the Ottawa Senators received a first-round pick alongside of many other assets in compensation for Erik Karlsson. And at the time of this trade, not even the Ottawa Senators would have ever predicted that the Sharks season would turn out this way. And I have them selecting Lucas Raymond. Raymond is an offensive dynamo, and to explain Raymond's game, just think Mitch Marner. A lead skating with tremendous hockey IQ, Raymond is also a player who works hard at both ends of the ice and has the potential to be a franchise winger. 8 points in 26 SHL games this year, and more of a limited role, and he had a really good World Junior Tournament where he put up 4 points in 7 games. And for the Ottawa Senators as a franchise, they would be extremely happy to draft a cornerstone centerman in Stützle and a cornerstone winger in Raymond. And I can only imagine the line of Tkachuk, Stützle, and Raymond. That would just be absolutely terrifying. At number 6, Anaheim Ducks draft Anton Lundell. Lundell is arguably the most well-rounded player within this entire draft class, and it's definitely a bit too early to state this, but many scouts envision Lundell as being that future Selke candidate. And on top of this, he also has a great offensive game, 22 points and 32 Liga games this season. He's a elite playmaking ability alongside of a great release. Lundell may not have that same offensive ceiling as some of the other forwards ranked ahead of him, but in terms of drafting that high-end two-way centerman, Lundell is the guy. And in terms of a comparable, many people think Alex Barkov. With the 7th overall pick, the Buffalo Sabres draft Marco Rossi. And Rossi has been absolutely impossible to ignore this season. He's a smaller frame dynamic centerman who's been producing at just an uncanny rate. 93 points. You heard that correctly, 93 points and 43 OHL games. And if you do recall, that's actually better than Alexis Lafreniere's season this year. And Rossi this season has been on an absolute tear. He has tremendous offensive upside and puts in effort at both ends of the ice. In fact, Rossi can often be found on the penalty kill because of his aggressive, puck-hungry playing style. And in terms of a comparable, this one is a bit tough, but Rossi definitely has, I guess, reminiscent traits of someone like Braden Point. At number 8, the Chicago Blackhawks have an easy decision in drafting Alex Holtz. Holtz, alongside a fellow Swede Lucas Raymond, is an elite goal-scoring winger who has enormous offensive upside. And the 2020 draft will definitely be interesting because if the trend does continue, where teams are putting a heavy emphasis on drafting centerman over wing, we could see someone like Alex Holtz, who's a potential top 5 talent, get pushed out of the top 5. As Alex Holtz has franchise upside, so if a team doesn't want to jump on a winger, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes within the top 4, but again, I wouldn't be too surprised if he falls out of the top 7, just because of prioritizing, that center depth. And in terms of separation between Holtz and Raymond, Holtz is more of a pure goal scorer, whereas Raymond is more well-rounded, which is why when you look at the production, a lot of scouts have Raymond ranked over Holtz. And in terms of a comparable, David Pastrnak has a lot of similar traits to Alex Holtz, as many scouts really comment today already. I know this is very premature, as they see Holtz one day competing for that Maurice Richard trophy. At number 9, the Nashville Predators draft Yaroslav Askarov. Pretty interesting that in my last mock draft, many people didn't want their team to draft a goaltender. But what I will say though is Askarov is definitely the real deal. In fact, many scouts have him as a top 5 talent. However, drafting a goaltender of course is strongly correlated to a team's positional needs, and as for the Nashville Predators, they're kind of in a rough transitional period right now where Rinne, who is obviously a monster in the NHL for many years, is kind of demonstrating some strong regression this season. Saros has been good but not great, and the Predators could use a blue chip goaltender prospect in their pipeline. And drafting a franchise goalie is crucial in today's game, especially with the shift to game load allocation. And you can truly never have enough goaltender prospects, especially one of Askarov's caliber. And Askarov this season has been fantastic. He's been playing exceptionally well in the VHL. And if you guys aren't familiar, the VHL is the KHL's version of the AHL. Great numbers, he played extremely well in his only KHL game, and he had a pretty shaky World Junior tournament, but in no means is this going to take away from his overall game. And in terms of a comparison, it's hard not to draw comparisons to Vasilevsky. At number 10, the Minnesota Wild draft Cole Perfetti. And Perfetti is considered by many scouts to have near the best, if not the best, hockey IQ in this entire draft. And the biggest area holding back Perfetti is that he's not as explosive as many other players listed above. But in terms of vision and hockey IQ combined with dangerous scoring upside, Perfetti has first line overall potential. Perfetti has first line center upside. And just a testament to how deep this top 10 is, Perfetti has an astounding 92 points and 51 games. 92 points, and he's probably going to go around this 10 mark. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he does go higher, if not even in the top 5, but this draft is just so deep, so it's nearly impossible to predict who slides. It really just depends on what teams rank who. Especially with the rise of someone like Marco Rossi, who's absolutely dominating the OHL alongside of Perfetti. In terms of a comparable, think of someone like Sam Reinhart in terms of that tremendous vision and hockey IQ, who has great offensive upside. At number 11, the New York Rangers draft Dylan Holloway. The Rangers at this point have arguably put together the best prospect pipeline in the entire NHL. Especially with the introduction of Adam Fox and Tony DeAngelo, who have been absolute studs this season. And with that being said, I could see them going the safer route, looking for that more complete player, and Dylan Holloway is an elite skating center winger who's kind of the jack of all trades. He doesn't have the same offensive ceiling as many of the other players listed above, but he has a terrific complete tool set. And this season he's been playing for the University of Wisconsin alongside of Cole Caulfield and Alex Turcotte, and has had a very impressive secondary role. 10 points in 27 games, which is definitely not the most impressive stat line in this mock draft, but once he gets that first line opportunity, expect Holloway to make drastic improvements in his production next season. And a comparison is a bit tough, but think of someone like Logan Couture. At number 12, we have the Montreal Canadiens, and I have them drafting Jérémie Poirier. The Montreal Canadiens have developed a decent all-around prospect pipeline, with of course Alexander Romanov leading that charge. But when you take a look at their depth charts, they have ample center depth in the pipeline, decent wing supply, and decent defensive supply. And in terms of drafting positionally, I can see it going either way, but I have them drafting Jérémie Poirier. A smooth skating two-way defenseman playing for the St. John's Sea Dogs, and in terms of a comparable, fellow alumni Sea Dog and Thomas Chabot does come to mind. He is a bit raw and definitely needs some more refining, but he has unlimited potential as more of that offensive-minded defenseman. Poirier is a defenseman who can constantly lead that breakout, he can make tape-to-tape passes, and has the offensive capabilities to be that number 1 power play quarterback. At number 13, the Winnipeg Jets draft another defenseman in Jake Sanderson. Sanderson alongside of Poirier has the traits of that modern day defenseman, smooth skating, excellent transition game, and has promising offensive capabilities. And Sanderson this season has taken over the blue line of the USDP and is currently committed to the University of North Dakota. And the Winnipeg Jets are definitely still in the position where they should be prioritizing the back end to the draft, and Jake Sanderson could be a huge pickup. And in terms of a comparable, he definitely has reminiscent traits of another Winnipeg player in Josh Morrissey. At number 14, the Arizona Coyotes draft Jan Mysak. Mysak has had a very interesting case because he started the season playing in the Czech League, he played very well in the World Juniors, and decided to pack his bags and come to the OHL to gain more exposure. And so far he's transitioned very well, and I can only imagine he gets better every single game as he's kind of adapting to the North American ice still. 8 goals, 12 points in 12 games, which includes multiple shorthanded goals. He's a big motor and has a great offensive tool set, and to be honest, he seems very reminiscent to a 2019 draft pick in Vasily Podkolzin, as they both have similar traits of being that more bulldog winger who can play well at both ends of the ice, combined with some great offensive upside. At number 15, the Vegas Golden Knights draft Noel Gunler. And Gunler is a pure shooter. He already has an NHL caliber release and elite playmaking ability. Gunler has high offensive upside, but has been flagged as someone who needs to put in more work in his own end. But if Gunler does start to develop that more two-way game, it would be massive for his overall trajectory. And in terms of reminiscent playing style, it is hard not to think of Patrick Laine, you know, that pure goal scorer who's someone who's been flagged for needing to put more effort into their own zone. The 2020 draft is already looking to be very promising, especially the top 10, as we're seeing a plethora of just potential cornerstone players. And as training programs around the world keep getting better and just the game of hockey keeps growing, don't be surprised if these drafts just keep pumping out more and more consistent high-end talent. As the 2021 draft is already projected to be a great draft, and the 2022 draft has a player in Shane Wright, who has already outscored McDavid's goal total as a 15-year-old. You heard that right, we have another potential McDavid coming up in the future. Anyways guys, comment down your mock draft down below, and which player are you most excited for? Anyways guys, we just surpassed 7,000 subscribers. Amazing guys. Again, we're on the road now for 10,000. I thought this whole year we'd be on the road for 5K. We're already at 7K, I don't know what to say. You guys are amazing, the support has just been insane. And by the way guys, what's your opinion on the Colorado Avalanche Stadium Series jersey? I personally really love it. I know it's pretty controversial, but I saw a sale online on Adidas. I thought I had to pick it up. I love the design. I hear a lot of people saying they hate it online. What do you guys feel about it? Anyways guys, thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys later.